progress review, midterm session of Maithripala Sirisena's 100-day program. Now, some of you have already kind of worked with us. During the previous sessions, we had a very successful pre-election meeting, and then at the beginning meeting to discuss about 100-day programs. Now we have finished 50 days or like half of the 100-day program, and also slightly more than 50 days of Maithripala Sirisena's presidency. Now today what we expect is to actually discuss or talk about two things. Now also one thing is about Maithripala Sirisena's election manifesto, so that is kind of the plan or vision document for the country for next 5 to 6 years, based on what we have done up to now, and also to discuss about the progress of 100-day program. Now, if I just wanted to tell you about the background, now the idea here is that now we have a lot of discussions about 100-day program, and different political debates about your government's performance. Now our there's echo coming. I think Gayan, you have to mute your mic. Okay, right. So the one reason why we want to do this is we don't see real discussions, objective, professional, political discussion on the subject among professional community. Now here our idea is to actually engage particularly Sri Lankans, Sri Lankan professionals living out of Sri Lanka. Not necessarily just to talk about from our point of view, but also have a discussion. So that's kind of idea sharing session. That's the main thing. Now what we have seen in the public domain is actually some experts talk to other people about what they think, or the government idea they are sharing about how they have done to the people. Now we want to do something different. This is more like a peer discussion among Sri Lankan professionals or people who are interested in Sri Lanka. Now, sorry. The second thing is we also see there are a lot of complaints about government's progress, a lot of complaints about new governments actually they're meeting the targets. Now we really don't complain because we as project management professionals or project management experts, we know that in all projects you have delays, you have not been able to meet performance criteria, or sometimes even like over budget. Now this is also happening, but since it's only the half of the time period, so there are opportunity for them to fulfill those agreed terms to the public during next time to come. Now I want to first of all discuss about Maithripala Sirisena's election manifesto. Of course, we have all seen that in Sinhala, Tamil and English medium is available for downloading. Now, if you summarize that, it is, the document itself is not really comprehensive, and it's not really very very well prepared document, even though it has a lot of good elements. Now there are some issues. For example, in the document you can't find a real a vision for the country by Maithripala Sirisena in a comprehensive wording. Now one can derive the fact that Maithripala Sirisena was promising a corruption-free, democratic and stable Sri Lanka, but that is not very clear, or it's not really written in that way. Also a mission statement, there's a mission statement, but that's really also again it's more detailed but not really exact. So I would say to achieve those ideas of corruption free, democratic and stable Sri Lanka, Maithripala Sirisena was talking about united government or national government or united alliance, through alliance building or having a different political culture. They want to achieve those visions, those goals. Now, but if you look at the document itself, there are mistakes. For example, there's one mistake, very clear mistake. They're saying about ransom or the bribery of 90% of bribe, but they have given also the figures for to do 100,000 work, you have to give ransom or corruption or bribe of 900,000. So it's not clearly 90% ransom, it is actually 900%. So that is kind of statistically wrong. Now the we have seen actually the new government was attacking the previous government. Vimal Virosha, for example, this 1 divided by 1 equals 0 thing. So same here in terms of mathematical accuracy, the document has clear mistakes. Okay, so then the second thing what I am considering as a kind of what is not available here is actually there are no objectives, clear objectives. But the good thing about this document is the main actually positive thing is there's kind of clear strategy. You have two-tier strategy, two time frame strategy. There's 100-day program which we are kind of at the moment undergoing. So they are the urgent issues are addressed through national government. Then the second stage or second strategy is 6 years program. After the general election which will be held mid 2015. So they are the achievement for long-term targets or long-term objectives. So that is kind of very clear and it's actually main comprehensive part of that. Now under the manifesto there are some main areas they have discussed in detail. I am not going to go into details, but I will explain them very briefly. Now one main thing is about constitutional amendments. So there are short promises like code of ethics for the representatives, smaller government, abolition of executive presidency. Those things are listed. Then also the second one is about development economy, how they reduce corruption, going for transparent bidding, and all these things are there. As I told you, I will not repeat them. I will not go into details also. The third one, it is more like this is the first one. The second chapter is about moral society, where they are talking about appointing special task force to look into drug, then regulating ethanol, rehabilitation of drug addicts, cigarette packets, warning, a lot of this drug, liquor, alcohol, tobacco related, casino, cancel casino. Now one can question about now by reducing or by eliminating these kind of so-called negative things, can you really improve the morale of the society? But those are things listed there. Third one is food security and sustainable agriculture. That is, I think, because Maithripala Sirisena is like an expert of agriculture, he has in detail analyzed and listed things under this. It is also very relevant in Sri Lankan context. The fourth one is healthcare for all. So that is also like comprehensively discussed subject matter. There are a lot of promises and a lot of activities to be done. Sixth one is free education. We have this famous increment of the allocation for the education as a sector from 1.7% to 6% from the GDP, and a lot of other promises on free education. Then the manifesto talk about international relations. Now, even though it is called as international relations, it's about how you use the diplomatic services to have better let's say, diplomatic negotiations and diplomatic activities. So they're talking about being very, friendly towards India, promotion of Buddhism, those kind of things. Item 7 is about industry and services of industry services to eradicate, I think, unemployment. So strategic plan for investment, tax concession, plan for small and medium enterprises. A lot of things are also discussed, and is part of economic aspect of the new government. So that's the 7th one. The 8th one is advanced and responsible public sector. There, Maithripala Sirisena talk about different ways of reforming and improving service delivery of government services. And particularly, they talk about Singapore model of delivering government service or public service through government servants and government services. 9th one is energy security Sri Lanka. This is also a very comprehensively discussed area. And next one is, last one is actually media freedom. Media freedom, there are a lot of promises again given under media freedom, which is also like a crucial thing which was under Maithripala Sirisena. That was like a hot topic where a lot of abuses took place. Now, as I told you, I just wanted to highlight what are the areas covered under the manifesto. But my focus is actually to discuss what are the areas not covered, what are the areas I think are important based on the current political situation in Sri Lanka, as well as the dynamism we saw during the election campaign. So first of all, now one thing missing is now in terms of this document. If you consider this as the vision document or strategic document for the country, national plan for the country for next at least for 6 or 5 years, we don't see a real express vision. For example, something like Sri Lanka 2020 or Maithripala Sirisena's vision or something. We don't see that expressly written there. Now, one of the most important issues is we know that there are around 2 million or more than 2 million Sri Lankans living in different countries in the world. Now, they are very important political actually group, not only just because of their numbers. Numbers, of course, is also important because it's 10% of the Sri Lankan population, but also their power. Now, we talk about Tamil diaspora, we talk about people who are working in the Middle East as unskilled labor, but if you look at their contribution to the society, economically, socially, even politically, it's very important, and it's really now we recognize that. Now up to now, no government has considered them to be positive. Now we talk about them as problems, but many countries in the world they have considered the diaspora as a positive element where you can contribute. You can get their contribution to nation development, but this has not been actually included, even though we discussed that in arbitrary manner. Sorry. And as I think a lot of political parties have already, highlighted the fact that the manifesto doesn't talk about political ethnic conflict or ethnic reconciliation or political solution to the ethnic problem. I think that was election related kind of a tactic, but I think if this is going to be considered as the policy document of the government, it should be included. My fourth point is now, even though the document talk about a lot of concessions, subsidies, and different how can I say, concessions, subsidies, as well as release measures to people, but it doesn't talk about how you improve the competitiveness of Sri Lanka, and how you improve the productivity of the the society. So that is also not discussed. And also, I personally consider Sri Lanka as a country in South Asia. We should think about how you collaborate beyond the national borders. But the mission document or Maithripala Sirisena Manifesto doesn't talk about international collaboration. Particularly, I'm talking about here is South Asian collaboration or regional collaboration. That dimension has also not been included. The final point, actually I listed only few points, but this is also a major point now is part of productive improvement. But now we talk about dynamic democratic countries in 21st century. We have seen other countries like Vietnam, China, India, to some extent now Bangladesh. They are talking about how you reform your economy and have dynamic economic performance. Now that is again also not discussed. Now how you improve competitiveness, how you improve public service, because having maybe less corruption or better public service doesn't necessarily guarantee you that you are competitive and you are productive and you are you have competitive advantage compared to other countries. So those kind of areas are not discussed under the in the document. Now there are also some weaknesses I want to highlight of the document. Now if you read the manifesto, you see there are a lot of assumptions, wrong assumptions, or even like not really deep assumptions, or very justifiable assumptions. Now, for example, when you, as I already referred, just by not having, let's say, if you ban drugs, or if you improve the regulation on alcohol and ethanol, but it won't necessarily, translate Sri Lanka to a moral society. So there are a lot of unexpressed but assumptions which are sometimes naive, sometimes not politically advanced. Second issue, what I see in the manifesto, of course, this is again because of the context that this document was written. But it's now when you reflect on that, it is as a main issue. That is the focus on the Mahinda Rajapaksa government. Maybe when it was written, Mahinda Rajapaksa government was the focus, but now it's gone. So therefore, when you read it now, a lot of things written in the document are not really relevant. So Mahinda Rajapaksa is gone and his government is gone. So how you can connect that when you read this after the election? So that is also a kind of weakness of the document. The second thing which is also relevant to that one, now there are a lot of discussion, a lot of explanation about getting out of negative conditions, but the document doesn't talk about positive development. They say you get rid of corruption, but it doesn't talk about how you improve productivity or competitiveness. So therefore, this is a negatively focused manifesto. It's not positively focused. Now, for example, if you compare this with, let's say, Mahinda Rajapaksa's Mahinda Chintaneya future, I don't know how they call it, outlook or something like that. But at least by name, it is like a positively written. I have not really gone into that document. Of course, this document is much better in practice, but when you read it, there are a lot of negative things written about the country, about the society, about Mahinda Rajapaksa regime, but you don't get inspired by the, as a reader, you don't get inspired by the manifesto. I think that is also important to keep people together, to go together as a country. The unification among people, it's not really explained or document in the manifesto. My final complaint or weakness as I see is actually the local orientation of the manifesto. Of course, the country's manifesto should be focused about national and local conditions and to get the benefit of for the local society. But then there should be element of international focus, discussing about international dimension and how you, for example, integrate the country, the society to the external world. So that is also missing. Now, so those are main issues. What I think is actually that now the Maithripala Sirisena, now he is the president. He is not anymore the the presidential candidate. Now he is the full-fledged president for next at least 5 years. So I think this should be rewritten, and there should be a policy document under Maithripala Sirisena's, let's say, good governance policy. What is the vision for the country? So it should have it should consider all the promises given, but then it should be workable plan for next 5 years, and it should be written to accommodate, to get rid of all these Mahinda Rajapaksa related issues, the negativities we had that time, and how take the positive aspect of this manifesto and then make it more strategic document. Okay, so that is my some of my observations from the manifesto. Anybody want to ask a question? Srinath, anything you want to say? Okay. Now, next thing is actually I want to talk about. If you have any questions, please type here. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the progress, 100 days program progress as the midterm progress. As you all know that we are running a separate Facebook page on all the promises delivered and the discussions about those promises by the people and different writers, how they talk about this progress. Now, so I don't go into details about what has been met, what has not been met, but in general, we see there are a lot of promises are being delivered. You had this information, the drug policy was passed very recently, the price reductions, to some extent media freedom, but then there are some where they are lagging. So there are some delayed promises, delayed deadlines, some are still under discussion. So now when you talk to the government people, what they say is that now it's very difficult, for example, to meet these deadlines because there are a lot of institutional issues. So the law should be, the officers, actually the government officers are not ready to carry out their orders, or they are not still thinking